Never tolerate disrespect again. Machiavelli's hidden law. Have you ever felt the sting of disrespect? That subtle but unmistakable moment when someone, maybe a friend, co-worker, or even a stranger, undermines your worth, your voice, your presence. It might come in the form of a joke laced with hidden resentment, or a public dismissal of your ideas, or worse, a silent gesture that implies you don't matter. We've all been there. But what if I told you that tolerating disrespect even once might be the single most dangerous mistake you could make in your life? In the modern world, we're conditioned to be tolerant, to be patient, to pick our battles. We're told to rise above, to take the high road. And yes, there's wisdom in that. But if we go deeper, much deeper, we discover something that ancient philosophers, warlords, and cunning strategists knew all too well. Niccolo Machiavelli, the feared and admired political thinker of the Renaissance, articulated a law so powerful, yet so hidden, that it could change how you see every social interaction from this moment forward. His message: never tolerate disrespect. Ever. Not once. Not in silence. Not in public. Not in private. Because the moment you do, you teach the world how to treat you. And worse, you give your enemies permission to grow. Machiavelli understood something that most of us overlook. He saw human nature not as it should be, but as it is. He didn't romanticize it, he dissected it. People, he wrote, are quick to forget kindness, but they remember fear. They test boundaries. They watch how others are treated. And most importantly, they watch how you respond when you are disrespected. If you laugh it off, they take note. If you say nothing, they assume you're weak. If you forgive too easily, they plan their next move. This isn't about being aggressive, it's about being aware. Respect is not given, it is enforced. And every time you let a slight pass, no matter how small, you write a silent contract with the world that says, "This is okay. You can treat me like this." But let's pause here. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you allowed someone to disrespect you because you didn't want to seem rude or dramatic or confrontational? Why did you do it? Was it fear? Was it pride? Was it the hope that they'd change on their own? Deep down, did you believe that staying quiet would somehow make you noble? Now consider this: did that person change? Did they ever apologize? Or did they go further next time, pushing the boundary just a little more?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Machiavelli's insight is chilling because it's so true. Disrespect is never isolated. It's a test, a probe. Like a thief checking if the door is locked. The first time someone disrespects you, that is not the main event. That is the rehearsal. The real show comes after they see how you react. And if you do nothing, the door is wide open. They step in, they take more, and soon they don't just disrespect you, they define you. But this isn't just Machiavellian theory, it's observable in the world around us. Think about schoolyards. Bullies don't pick on the strong, they test the weak. In workplaces, toxic bosses don't fire back at the confident, they silently target the ones who say nothing, who shrink when challenged. Even in relationships, contempt rarely starts loudly. It begins as a joke, a tease, a passive-aggressive comment. And then, over time, as the other person remains silent, it becomes a pattern. It becomes identity. Until one day, The person who tolerated it realizes they've been erased. Here's the hidden law. People do not treat you as you deserve. They treat you as you allow, and what you allow becomes your reality. This is not just a philosophical idea, it's a psychological law. The human mind seeks patterns. We all do it. We're constantly scanning others for cues. Are they confident? Are they a threat? Are they someone I have to respect, or can I dismiss them without consequence? And here lies the paradox. We all crave respect, yet most of us are terrified to demand it. Why? Because demanding respect feels risky. It feels confrontational. It feels like war. But Machiavelli would say it's far riskier not to demand it. Because if you don't, you will lose the war before it begins. You will be defeated not by some great enemy, but by your own silence, your own refusal to assert your value. Now, let's be precise. This doesn't mean you need to explode in rage every time someone crosses a line. No, true power is calm. It's deliberate. It's surgical. You don't need to scream to enforce respect, you need to act with certainty. You need to make it clear, not just with words but with presence, that you are not someone to be taken lightly, that you have boundaries, that your dignity is not negotiable. And this leads us to a deeper question: what is dignity? Is it pride, ego, or is it something more sacred? I believe dignity is the invisible shield that protects the soul. It is the quiet knowledge that your life, your voice, your being has value. And when someone disrespects you, they are not just insulting your feelings, they are attacking that shield. They are testing whether you believe in yourself. Your response doesn't just protect your reputation, it protects your essence. But here's the twist. Sometimes the greatest disrespect doesn't come from others, it comes from ourselves. Every time we allow someone to treat us poorly without consequence, we are complicit. We betray ourselves. We become our own enemy. And that, says Machiavelli, is the most dangerous betrayal of all. So ask yourself, what are you tolerating right now that you shouldn't be? Whose words, whose actions, whose energy are you allowing into your life that diminish you? What small things are you brushing off that are actually training others to see you as lesser? Because here's the truth, you teach people how to treat you, and with every reaction, every silence, every laugh at a cruel joke, every dismissal of your own discomfort, you are teaching them. And if you don't respect yourself enough to draw the line, why should they? Let this be the turning point, the moment you decide, never again. Never again will I let someone chip away at my dignity. Never again will I smile to make others comfortable at the expense of my own truth. Never again will I tolerate disrespect, not because I'm arrogant, but because I know my worth. And I will not negotiate with anyone who dares to forget it. The armor of fear, why people respect what they secretly fear. Let's go deeper. If disrespect is the seed of downfall, then what, according to Machiavelli and the thinkers who followed his path, is the soil in which true respect grows? Surprisingly, it's not love, it's not admiration, but it's not even agreement. It's fear. Now, that might sound harsh to the modern ear. We've been raised to believe that fear is a negative force, something to be avoided, something toxic. But Machiavelli, in his brutally honest treatise The Prince, made a critical distinction: it is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. And this wasn't a call to cruelty, it was a call to realism. Fear, in its purest form, is not abuse. It's not oppression. It's not tyranny. It is the psychological signal that boundaries exist, that consequences are real, that you are not to be trifled with. Fear is the armor that protects respect from erosion. Without some element of fear, healthy, silent, and unspoken, your value becomes negotiable. And once your value becomes negotiable, it becomes disposable. Now think for a moment, who do you truly respect in your life? Not just admire, but respect on a visceral level. But chances are there is some element of fear involved. Maybe not fear of violence or punishment, but fear of disappointment, fear of losing their approval, fear of stepping out of line. That fear isn't hatred, it's reverence. It's recognition of the weight that person carries. You respect them because they carry themselves with a kind of sacred seriousness. You sense that crossing them would cost you something. And that cost is exactly what makes their respect valuable. So, let's flip the mirror back onto ourselves. When people interact with you, do they feel that cost? Do they feel that crossing a line would come with a consequence? Or have you made yourself so endlessly forgiving, so infinitely understanding, so perpetually available that they no longer feel the need to measure their words, their tone, their presence? This is not about being unkind. It's about being unmistakable. You don't have to instill terror to command respect. You have to instill clarity. And clarity is the true armor of fear. When people know exactly what you will and won't tolerate, when they know what you will walk away from, what you will stand up against, what you will call out without hesitation, that is when they begin to respect you. Not because they fear you as a tyrant, but because they fear losing access to your presence, your energy, your trust. But here's the trap. Most people confuse being feared with being disliked. They think, if I draw a boundary, I'll lose people. If I speak up, they'll walk away. If I demand respect, I'll be alone. And here lies the tragedy. By avoiding the small fear of disapproval, they invite the great disaster of disrespect. They choose to be liked by everyone rather than respected by the few who truly matter. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many people in your life like you, but don't truly respect you? How many smile in your face, but speak differently behind your back? How many push your boundaries, knowing you'll smile and forgive? That's not connection. That's exploitation. And the longer you allow it, the more it becomes your identity. Machiavelli understood that power is not about domination, it's about presence. When you enter a room, your energy speaks before your mouth does. People scan you subconsciously, instantly, for signs of strength or softness, resolve or hesitation. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond to subtle slights, the way you set boundaries without apology, these are the silent signals that build a reputation. And reputation, as the ancients knew, is everything. It is your invisible army. It walks into rooms before you. It speaks when you are silent. It defends you when others doubt you. But here's the deeper truth. Fear is not just what others feel toward you. It's also what you feel toward yourself. If you fear your own strength, your own voice, your own right to take up space, then you will project that fear outward. You will attract those who mirror your hesitation. You will invite those who sense your insecurity. And they will test you again and again until you either collapse or rise. So the question is this: are you willing to be feared just enough to be respected? Are you willing to let go of being liked by everyone in order to be valued by the right ones? Are you willing to armor yourself with clarity, with consequences, with unapologetic boundaries? Because the world does not reward the most kind, it rewards the most clear. And clarity, when combined with strength, becomes the foundation of power, not the corrupt kind, not the manipulative kind, but the quiet, unshakable kind that Machiavelli knew could outlast kingdoms. The moment you stay silent, you lose. How disrespect grows in shadows. There's a moment, always a moment, when the soul knows it's being violated. A friend makes a joke that cuts too deep. A colleague dismisses your idea in a meeting. A partner rolls their eyes as you speak. It's subtle. It's often small, but it lands like a sharp needle in the chest. And what do? Most of us say nothing. We swallow it. We rationalize. We tell ourselves it's not worth the drama, or they probably didn't mean it. Or worst of all, maybe I'm just being too sensitive. But that silence, that very first silence, is the exact moment when respect begins to die. Machiavelli never directly wrote about the small slights of daily life. He was more concerned with princes and empires. But the principles he laid bare apply with brutal precision to our modern world. In politics, in relationships, in classrooms, in boardrooms, disrespect doesn't arrive with a sword. It arrives with a smirk. It doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you fail to confront it in the shadows, it grows in strength. It becomes emboldened. Like mold in a dark corner, it expands where the light of truth never shines. Why do we stay silent in those moments? Because confrontation is uncomfortable. Because we were raised to be agreeable. Because we fear conflict more than we fear diminishment. But what we don't realize is that each silence is a surrender. You may think you're avoiding a scene, but you're staging a larger tragedy, one where your dignity is the casualty. And the longer you remain silent, the more you train others to believe that your boundaries are just suggestions. Let's be honest, people know when they're crossing a line. They know, maybe not consciously but instinctively. But they test you to see where your line is drawn. And when they find out that you don't draw any lines at all, they begin to rewrite your story for you. You become the easy one, the pushover, the nice guy, the cool girl. And suddenly you're not respected, you're used. And what's worse, you participated in your own erasure. So here's the harsh truth. Every time you stay silent in the face of disrespect, you teach the world that your silence is for sale. And people will buy it. They'll buy it cheaply. They'll buy it with sarcasm, with indifference, with manipulation. And they will keep buying until you have nothing left to give. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to explode. You don't have to fight fire with fire. You simply have to acknowledge what happened and name it. That is the beginning of reclaiming power. When someone crosses your boundary, say it. That wasn't okay. I don't find that funny. Let's not go there. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It needs to be real. And here's the paradox. The very people you fear losing by speaking up are often the ones who will end up respecting you more when you do. Because deep down, people crave structure. They crave standards. They crave the weight of someone who knows who they are and won't accept less. Your boundaries don't push people away, they magnetize the right ones and repel the wrong ones. And that's exactly what you want. But let's go even deeper. Ask yourself, where does your silence really come from? But is it fear of being alone? Fear of being misunderstood? Fear of being seen as difficult? If so, who taught you that being respected and being alone were mutually exclusive, who convinced you that harmony mattered more than truth, that peace was more important than power, because that belief that silence is strength is a lie. It was sold to you by a world that benefits from your compliance. But Machiavelli would argue that silence, when it comes to matters of self-worth, is not noble, it's naive. Power respects power, and if you don't assert yours, others will assert theirs on you. So let this be a call to war, not a war of violence, but a war of clarity. A war against the shadows where disrespect hides. Your voice is your sword. Your boundary is your shield. And every time you speak up, you shine a light into the dark corner where erosion begins. You reclaim ground that was quietly taken. You stop the decay before it becomes collapse. The next time someone crosses the line, remember, it's not just about that one moment. It's about the precedent. It's about the message you send not just to them, but to yourself. Are you someone who shrinks or someone who stands? Are you someone who tolerates or someone who transforms? Because the truth is this, you lose nothing by being respected, but you lose everything by being silent. Dignity is a decision, becoming the type of person disrespect can't touch. Let's end where everything truly begins with you. Not with the people who crossed you, not with the ones who disrespected you, not with society's expectations or your upbringing. Strip all those away. What remains is your decision, your choice to rise or remain small. At the core of Machiavelli's philosophy lies a harsh but liberating truth. Power is not something you're given. It's something you decide to claim. And dignity, real, unshakable dignity, is not granted by others. It's not a gift. It's a decision you make about how you will be treated, no matter the cost. You become untouchable when you stop waiting for permission to be respected. You become powerful when you stop asking for validation and start enforcing your standards. The moment you choose to live as someone who does not tolerate disrespect, not in words, not in tone, not in silence, is the moment people begin to adjust themselves in your presence. Not because you demanded it, but because you became the kind of person who requires it without speaking. But this is not about becoming cold or cruel. Quite the opposite. This is about becoming so rooted in self-worth that disrespect cannot pierce your foundation. It might knock, but it won't enter. It might be attempted, but it won't succeed. Because here's the truth. People can only disrespect you if there's room for negotiation. But when your dignity is non-negotiable, doors close. And the right people, those who see your worth, will stay. The rest will exit, and let them leave. Because what you lose in fake harmony, you gain in real power. But this decision requires something rare: internal authority. Most of us are trained to seek external approval. We want to be liked, applauded, included. But here's the hard philosophical question. What is the value of a crowd's approval if you had to shrink yourself to earn it? What is the point of being surrounded if none of them truly see you? Would you rather be respected by a few or tolerated by many? Machiavelli's hidden law isn't really about control. It's about clarity. It's about knowing who you are so clearly that no one else gets to rewrite the script. No one else gets to define your tone, your limits, your worth. And the irony? Once you make that decision, once you embody that clarity, people stop testing you. They feel it. They know. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need to shout to command a room. You've become the kind of person who can smile and still be feared. not because you threaten harm, but because you represent truth. And truth is terrifying to those who live in manipulation. So ask yourself, what kind of life are you building with your silence? What kind of reality are you creating by tolerating things you know violate your soul? Every day you are either enforcing your identity or eroding it. There is no neutral. There is no pause button. You are always teaching people how to treat you. Always. And here's the final philosophical twist. Dignity is not about how others treat you. It's about how you treat yourself when others don't. Do you retreat? Do you self-blame? Do you twist yourself to fit their comfort? Or do you stand quietly, powerfully like a wall that will not move? Because once you truly decide that your dignity is off limits, the world reshapes itself around that truth. Some people will leave. Some will challenge you. But the ones who remain, they will be the ones worth building with, worth trusting, worth fighting beside. This is the hidden law Machiavelli left between the lines. Never tolerate disrespect, because when you do, you are not just tolerating someone else's behavior. You are surrendering the blueprint of who you are becoming. And your future, your real, powerful, unshakable future deserves better than that. So decide. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now. Decide to become the person disrespect can't touch. Not because you fight every battle, but because you no longer live in a world where battles like that are needed. You've risen above it. You become someone they can't test. And when that happens, you don't just win respect. You become it.